What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Combat Lounge. Today, I am joined by my guys, Dylan Napoleon and Patrick Danna. Let's get started.
Now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. He wildly almost fell over into the ropes. He is close to go out.
What's going on, boys?
Woohoo!
Bro,
What an intro.
That is the baddest intro.
That
I've
is
ever
an
seen
intro,
right there.
Cade. I've never seen that one. That is crazy.
That is the baddest intro I've ever seen.
I was
Bro,
sitting here hype.
I should be on my show a lot more than I am, but I make a lot of excuses as to why I'm not.
Well, if you just start going on more, it doesn't matter.
That's it.
Well, boys, let's start with this. Dylan, I'll start with you. Pat, we'll go to you.
Okay.
Dylan, tell the people a little bit about yourself and tell them like how you got started in the media game.
All right, that's a good question. I've yet to answer this for the people yet, so thanks for asking me. About I'd say October-ish of 2022, I just decided that this was going to be something that I pursued. I've always been a kid who, growing into kind of like a man now, which is crazy to say. Turned 21 earlier this year, but as a kid, man, I was always good with projects. Like I could really build things, and when I say that, when I was in high school, I started like a whole fishing club and team at my high school. I was very passionate about fishing, and so like I was good with networking and talking to people and just building things. And so I decided that I wanted to do this. There's a local publication out of New England. I'm from Connecticut, called New England MMA, and so I just kind of contacted one of my guys from New England MMA, who was one of my friends and now one of my coworkers, and I hit them up and I was just like, "Yo, how do you start, MMA media? This isn't something where you can just go fill out a job application type thing, So I was like, all right, let me figure out how to start first. I messaged him. He was just like, all right, well, if you want to be a part of this, I know you're very capable of doing a good job. He knew what I was about in terms of fight stuff. I was promoting fighters from New England and everywhere and just kind of doing media without actually being a part of it. So they let me join. Long story short, they let me join, started up with them. My first event was actually the PFL Championships at Madison Square Garden 2022. So like I literally went in right off the deep end. That was a crazy night. Huge fights, like not something that I'm very fortunate to have that happen to me and just kind of be in that situation. It happened. I was there. I went to a PBR professional bull riding event a couple days later, right there, or a couple weeks later, right there at Madison Square Garden again. So still another big event, not an MMA event, but just a large caliber event. And then I just started rocking around doing regional stuff. I met Dylan Rush at the PFL event at MSG, and after
Sorry
that,
about that.
Yeah, I'm
We-
sorry about that, guys.
we made good buddies there, and later that year, I forget exactly when, I covered my first Bellator event, thanks to him helping me get in there and making that happen. I want to say I totally forget the timing and of that Bellator event. I want to say sometime around February of 2020, No, it just doesn't sound right. I don't know. I forget. I don't want to say, but I've been to a bunch of events the past couple of months. So, um, yeah, he helped me get into Bellator, and then we just started being good buddies. And now I travel to a bunch of events with him, and I do a lot of other events on my own as well. I just got back from a Matchroom boxing card on the Zone at Madison Square Garden. So I'm just trying to cover as many events and get as many reps in as I can, if that makes sense.
Was writing a difficulty for you since it was so new to you, or was it new to you? Did you have experience in writing, or was it kind of all new to you? How explain that?
Well, I'd been like promoting fighters and like sharing posts and stuff like that for years, especially the guys local to me from out here. Mike Kimball was a big Bellator star for a little bit. And I did a lot of, I've just been kind of like following his career and following a lot of careers from this area. And there's a bunch of them. Mike Kimball, up in Boston, Rob Font, Calvin Cater, just even more local guys. Eddie George, he's 6-1 now, and I watched him fight since he was like 2 or 3-0. Jornel Lugo unfortunately got cut by Bellator, but I've been watching him since his first professional fight here in Connecticut. Just stuff like that, and following their careers, posting their stuff, reposting, and just helping them just become fighters. And it just fell into place for me, if that makes sense. Writing, though, I mean, yeah, writing was a new thing for me, and I'm still working on that stuff. The articles and stuff, I have to say, they're not my favorite to do. I don't know why. I'm not very. I don't really like doing the articles. I'm not gonna lie, but the interviews and that type of stuff, I love doing them. So I suck it up and write a couple articles every month, and that's about it. But my interviews and just being at events in general, I think that's where I excel a little bit more.
Nice, nice. Pat, what about you? Like, how did you get started in media?
I don't know. I kind of just started, really. I always wanted to make an MMA account, and I was always a fan. I've been a fan since I want to say 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And it just took my love for sports to a whole new level. I just fell in love with a lot of the fighters, a lot of the people. Still have a lot of favorites and stuff. And I don't know. I've always wanted to make an account, and I just never had that push to do it. I never had the push. And it was kind of just like I always said I wanted to, but then never actually did it. And then me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, and I was like, you know what? I want to do something that's going to get my mind off this. I don't want to sit here upset. So I just basically instantly like made the account when I was talking with my mom drunk one night at 3 a.m. and basically took it from there. And just at that point, after I made it, I had to do something with it. So I would like all the big pages, MMA Junkie, UFC News Alerts, all that. I would just basically comment under their photos and be like, hey, I'm an upcoming journalist doing interviews with fighters, this, that. And basically, I was in a college course for sports broadcasting, and I had to interview one of my favorite athletes. And basically, I was like, okay, like I never thought of interviewing anyone. I never thought of any of that. So I texted a couple fighters, just throwing out some like feelers on like, hey, will you help me out with the school project? My teacher said a lot of them wouldn't answer probably and everything, but a couple of them left me on red. And then one of them even set up a date and time with me and everything, and then just bailed on me and never like did the interview. So I was like, damn, like, is this how this stuff is? But then I finally got an interview with Victor Henry in the UFC featherweight or bantamweight, my bad. And he he did the interview with me. He was awesome, and he was like, it was just really cool. I loved it. And him doing that interview made up for all the guys that had ignored me in the past. So I was like, huh, this is pretty cool. So I did the interview, posted a clip of it on social media, and that's how I like started the account. So then I went and posted like on all MMA Junkie, doing interviews with fighters, posting news. I would I had my own like shitty templates that I would use. Like mine are still shitty to this minute, but I have better ones now. And I don't know. I basically just started working my way up, commenting, talking to people I enjoyed, like Marcel and Aaron Bronstetter, James Lynch, some of the guys who I had already known from watching the sport that I knew and respected their game. I just started contacting them and asking them for advice, talking to them, asking them to do an interview, and they were all really cool, and it just gave me like a really good view on how things were. So I kind of just went with it, and that's how I ended up where I am now.
Yeah, man. Like it's kind of cool to see everyone has taken their own pathways to getting into this. Me, for instance, I'm big in Raiders football on social media. I always was. Met a lot of great people. Got in with my boys Phil Robinson and Phil Jones, who kind of helped me and lead the pathway. Introduced me to some guys. Got into writing. He got me into Paul Silva, and then. After that, he started like questioning my dedication and my stuff. You're not writing enough, and it was hard because I was learning how to balance my family, my fiance, my job, my media stuff, and my family always comes first. This will always come last. So, learning to balance everything out to do this, was difficult in the beginning. And then I met a lot of great guys along the way. Eddie Law, one of my favorite guys I've ever met. I asked him to join Cade's side maybe a year and a half ago or something like that. And he said, I'll keep you in mind, man. But I think what Eddie wanted was to see more from me. And then I kept putting in the work. And then one day me and Eddie did a show, and I asked him again, not on the show, but before the show. And we talked after the show, kind of like how we are, but backstage, and he took me in, and then I kind of started my own thing. This called the Combat Lounge. This is how I get credentialed through Bellator. It was how Bellator knows me under this name. They just recently found out that I was with Cade side, so I do this on the side, and then I'm with Cade side, and yeah, man, I just try to keep grinding, keep pushing myself, and I need to cover more live events and stuff like that, So my next one I'm trying to get out to is out in South Dakota for Bellator.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
trying to get out there.
Sir.
So
Yeah, you are.
Boys, I gotta flip on this light right here. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. It got too dark for him.
But anyways, that's kind of how I got started. But my first live event I ever covered, it was Media Week for Paul Silva, and I went to the fight and everything, and it was a fun time. But Jesse said that's a good thing about MMA fighters. They're a lot easier to contact than other sport athletes. That is 100% true. I've had a lot of fighters leave me on red. I've had a lot of fighters say, ask my management team. And then I've had a lot of fighters say, yeah, man, when you want to do it. The cool thing about it is if they leave you on red, my advice to any young MMA journalist is follow up with them, because now that they've opened your DM, you're not in their side request DMs. You're in their DMs. You can see when they're active on social media like Instagram. You can see stuff like that. Follow up with those guys, man.
Yeah, never give up. Ask a couple times.
Stay on them, man.
Ask a couple times before you give up. And if you really ask like a couple times and you're not getting an answer, they always have a manager that they're eventually going to make. Like you can go through at some point. Like
management teams are hard to get through.
They are, but eventually you can get in contact with the right people.
Yeah. Yep. One of the best managers in the game that I've started to create a relationship with, and he has been nothing short of amazing to me, is Brian Hamper.
Okay.
Great guy. He's started me off small with smaller prospects that he has, and each fighter he's gotten has been a bigger name. But that's how you have to do it. You have to show them that you can take care of their fighters in these interviews and not be a fool and be professional, and they'll give you what you need. They are easier to contact. I agree.
Yeah, no, they definitely are.
It's good to work with the managers. Let's wait for Pat to come back.
I want to really try to be a manager. Jesse, do it, man.
That's not a bad idea.
Contact these management companies and the guys that run them. Brian Hamper is a good guy to contact. Just ask him what's the pathway for me to do this. His partners.
My fault. My mom walked up into my room. My fault.
It's all good. He has another partner named Brian, who runs that company with him. There's so many opportunities out there, but the best thing that I can tell people trying to get into some way somehow is like contacts, relationships. A lot of young MMA journalists, I see it, bro. They don't use LinkedIn, man. LinkedIn has helped me so much. I mean, I've gotten a hold of so many people. I'm in contact with I got connections on there with Bruce Buffer. I got connections on there with all UFC PR, Bellator PR, fighters like Austin Lingo, Max Griffin, bunch of people are on there, and they're
You
easy to get a hold of.
message people on there? I've never really
Yes.
used it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
If they add you to their account, you have to connect with them, and if they add you, you can send them a message.
I'm gonna have to hit up
No,
Bruce
he has
Buffer
a
and
point.
tell him what up.
Yeah,
I
mean,
didn't
Bruce
know most
never.
fighters used it. I've seen managers on it and stuff. I didn't know if fighters used it though.
Fighters use it, man. If you go on, like, if you start connecting with PR people and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
you can go through their connections. It's basically their followers. You can see all the fighters, and
Yeah.
fighters that you eventually want to talk to one day, add them on there. They may deny you, they may accept you, they may never even answer it, but it's worth a shot because it's like a Twitter for famous people in a sense. It's for business. So,
Bro, my Twitter is currently set, or not Twitter, LinkedIn is currently set up as for my job, the Bass Pro Shops fishing department
That's
team
so
lead.
funny.
So like, I don't know, I might have to like try to add some MMA stuff on
I was
there.
about to say I never even saw you really on Twitter like that.
I don't really go on Twitter too much, to be honest with you, but like, I know that's not a good thing, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to.
Jesse in the chat, that's my guy. He's he's an upcoming manager. He's trying to like get fighters to like manage and stuff. He has a couple already. And he's a
yeah,
cool
man,
guy.
start off with like the smaller people. It'll lead to the bigger people, man, because like those smaller people, when they become bigger people, they'll put your name out there. This guy will take care of you. This
100%.
guy will, you know what I'm saying? So management's a big one, man, like where you got to take care of your people and do right by them because they'll spread your name out there. They will.
We have a. Oh, I'm sorry, Cade. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just finishing up saying like they pretty much, they'll put your name out there. Like those smaller people train with big superstars, and if they put the word out there, they'll keep you in mind and stuff like that.
Yep. I was just gonna say myself, we have a decent management company, pretty good sized here in Connecticut. It's called PG Sports, and they manage a lot of sports players. His name is Paul Garino. He's got a lot of WNBA players actually, which I think is pretty cool. But on top of that, he's Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor's manager. He is Mike Kimball's manager, Tremaine Williams, big boxing name right there. Cordell Booker, another big boxing name right there. So yeah, that's a big management company out of Connecticut. I actually just bought one of their shirts today. I'm pretty stoked to get it in.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
I was also
Ethan's the kid from the UK that I interviewed that I posted. It was recent.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Is that the one that they asked you to take it down?
Yeah, and then he got me to put it back up though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I want to ask you guys, because we're coming up on like 18, 19 minutes. What the UFC just announced, like tons of fights. Bellator just announced like tons of fights. Like, what are two of the fights from any promotion, not just the UFC, but any promotion that you guys are like, I can't wait for that fight? I'll start with you, Dylan, and then go to Pat, and then we'll come back up to me.
Well, the freshest ones on my mind, and maybe to mix it up a little bit too, the freshest ones on my mind right now are the Bellator fights that I just posted about today. So I'll hit on those, and I'm sure you guys might have something else like the UFC or maybe another promotion. But I honestly didn't even know that James Gallagher had a backup opponent, or they filled in Chris Lencioni's spot for Bellator 298. So I'm excited to know and see that James Gallagher is still fighting on that Bellator card in Sioux Falls, which I'm going to be at. So that's going to be cool. I've always liked his craft. It's going to be cool to see him back in the octagon. And then let me see, another Bellator fight that I'm looking forward to on that same card. honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing Bryce Meredith in his second Bellator fight. He great performance at what I forget which number event, but Bellator we were in Temecula. No, not Temecula. Where were we? Cade, not the one that it was the Daniel James Marcelo Go main event. That wasn't Temecula.
Temecula.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Temecula. Yeah. Okay, so that Bryce Meredith made his Bellator debut on that card in Temecula, and I liked watching him fight. So he's back at it on this 298 card in Sioux Falls. So yeah, looking forward to watching him fight again. And there are some great UFC fights that just got announced. So I'm hoping that one of you guys touch on those.
I'll touch
Bryce
on.
is so good, man.
I'll touch on some of that. Don't worry about that. So as a Jersey guy, you see the Giants flag in the background. I can't wait
Giants guy too.
I can't wait for Erin Blanchfield versus Talia Santos. I cannot wait for Erin Blanchfield.
Pat, let me ask you about that for a second. Do you think Erin should have waited to take the title fight at 130?
I do. I think it's a dangerous fight for her, but I still think she can still win.
Yeah, man. I thought she should have waited, man. I think the UFC would have gave it to her because I look at 135 and I'm like, who's gonna fight Juliana? Does
probably
Juliana
Pennington. If you want my honesty, Pennington deserves it more than Juliana, but Juliana is the one they're going to choose out of the two. So it's like,
yeah.
And then, and really, does Pena versus Pennington sell anything? Like, that's not.
No, well, that's a problem with a lot of women's MMA fights, man. Is like if they're in the co-main event, okay, they'll help sell it. But if they're
they should have done, bro. I just had a killer idea. I'm sorry to kind of break up your chat, but bro, they should have made her wait. Erin Blanchfield. They should have made her wait, and they should have put her on this apparently UFC New York City Madison Square Garden John Jones card at the end of the year, bro. That would have been
in November.
What month is Erin fighting again?
August in Singapore.
I mean, that's still possible though, bro. That's still possible because
why
that
is that fight
in November, December.
Dude, if John Jones really is the main event, don't worry, it's gonna be sold out. But if for some reason he doesn't fight, bro, Erin Blanchfield, she would have been a damn good name to put on that card.
Erin Blanchfield is I think she's like definitely a future, like not even a future. Well, I think she's a future champion.
Shout out JD.
But I also think Erin's like going to be a top contender for like years to come, if not a future champion for years to come. I think she's skilled, man.
JD, I invited you, bro. You could have joined us, man. Tomorrow, though, we're gonna have another one, bro. Feel free, man.
JD,
thank you. JD
is an amazing guy. You guys haven't met him yet. Me and Rush met him when we were in LA, Bellator 291, if I'm not mistaken. And JD is an awesome guy. He does some really cool basketball content, and he's actually like an announcer. He does. No, I don't think he does it like at the score table, but he'll sit there and commentate the games while he's there on his live Instagram. And dude, he does an amazing job, and he's at some of the most high-level high school basketball I've ever seen. Like coming out, like if that was in Connecticut, you could sell out a high school gym with that type of basketball. That high school, and it's like LeBron James' son was in the league that he was at.
Got you.
It's all like those big California high schools. That
I graduated.
Yeah,
I graduated from the school that Kawhi Leonard graduated from.
Did you actually?
Yeah, Martin Luther King High School in Riverside, California.
That's nutty.
We went to the CIF championship game and won my freshman year. And then after that, we went downhill a little bit because our coach got caught paying players to come over here.
That shit is crazy, bro. The high school basketball in Cali is second to
It's legit, man. It's legit. I'll never forget when like Lonzo Ball and LaMelo and
exactly, bro.
Angelo played in Chino Hills, and we used to play Mater Dei, and there was tons of good schools. I'll say this though, I want to get back on track though real quick. I think my favorite fight. I'm actually a fan of both these guys, and you guys already know what's my favorite fight. I've been looking forward to it since the day it got announced. but it's got to be Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, man. That fight is going to be win, lose, draw. That fight, it's got to deliver, bro. That card is pretty well-rounded and pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Even if that card doesn't turn out, Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier is one of those fights where you feel like those two are going to make you remember 291 and the date July 29th or whenever
Bro,
it is.
I'm going to tell you something right now. That fight is going to be the best thing that Utah has seen in a long time, bro.
That's cool, Jesse.
Yeah, the other fight I'm excited about is another person from that camp that I've been waiting to come back and fight. She's taken some time off, but I'm interested to see Rose Namajunas come back and take the step up at 125. It's an interesting fight. It's a dangerous fight against Fiorot. But they both got good hands, and I think that fight could be a banger as well. I think that's going to be a fun fight as well. Pereira versus Blachowicz is another fight that I'm a little interested in too. Like his light heavyweight debut, that's going to be a banger. I remember what Jan Blachowicz did to Izzy and stuff like that, but AP's big, man. Like But like, is Blachowicz going to be able to use his wrestling in that fight, or is that going to be just somebody gets knocked out type of a fight? I mean, that's an interesting fight in itself too.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I have no idea. All I know is Alex Pereira's been training like 50 minutes down the road, and I've been wanting to go to the camp so bad, but
And
I
you're
haven't
just
done it
lazy.
yet.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, bro.
No, I'm messing with you.
I need to go. No, I know. I need to go over there. I want to.
Sorry,
but no,
we're all lazy.
Well, no, I know. I think Alex Pereira, he might pull something different out of the bag this fight. You never know. I feel like they're just these guys are so different.
Me and McCory were talking before about what if he just took Yan down and just like Glovered him.
Exactly, bro.
Just like
That's
took
what
his
I'm
back
saying.
and just
like,
choked him out.
Like you know that Alex Pereira's got jiu-jitsu in the bag a little bit. He's never shown it though, so like it'd be cool for him to actually let it go sometime. Big Brazilian, trains with some great Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I guess artists we could say.
Oh yeah.
And I know he's got it in him, but he just hasn't shown it yet. So it'd be cool for that finally to happen.
Dude, if he
I want to touch on this a little bit in the podcast with everybody when we get everybody on.
All right, good luck.
But I'll ask you guys this question because it's crossed my mind. Is bad judging, not bad reffing. Bad reffing is different. Bad judging, is it good for the sport of mixed martial arts because it keeps people on their toes?
No, I don't think it's fair to the athletes, and that's
it's
the
not,
only thing that matters.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the trade-off of keeping people on their toes to fairness of athlete is just that it's not even close. You know what I mean? You have to keep it fair to the athletes. Did you know how much money is on the line? Like Kai Car France said he lost out on what, like 100K, 50K for losing, something like that. So you can't rob someone of 50, 100K and the win just because you want to keep fans on their seats.
Do you think the UFC
they work way too hard for that shit?
Well, do you think the UFC and mainly the UFC, but Bellator, all the promotions, but UFC mainly, because you see it a lot more in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they need to, when it's a bad call and they give it to another fighter, do you think that the UFC needs to compensate that other fighter that got
The problem
robbed?
is what would define a bad call?
Yeah, that's
the only problem. There needs to be some criteria of defining a bad decision.
It can't be like a gimme. Like,
yeah,
it's gotta be laid out.
Like,
in my opinion, it has to go through a process and and it has to be, like actually, it's got to go through.
Well, like a fight that comes to mind to me.
That happens.
A fight that comes to mind to me. It was bad reffing and bad judging in my decision, but it started with the bad reffing, like Cody Stamann in his last fight.
Versus
it's like a
Douglas?
guy,
versus Douglas, right? Silva
I think so. Yep. So it's like the ref takes a point or doesn't take a point, but doesn't also give him the position back. Now, the rule's always been like either you take a point or you get position back. Neither of those things happened, and then it went to the scorecards, and Cody ends up taking the decision loss, and he's been fighting it and whatnot. And I had talked to him about that already, but it's like when a ref doesn't do his job correctly and a fighter faces the repercussions, is that on the fighter for not finishing the fight or doing better in the fight for the rest of the fight, or should that be on the ref and you got to compensate your fighter a little bit for what had happened?
I think ref mistakes are in every sport.
Yeah, I mean, like in MMA, they always say like, well, you shouldn't have left it up to the judges, but at the end of the day, bro, like the judges also are there for a reason and have a job. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, and I'm a hard worker, but like if you're not going to do your job right, you might as well not even be there. And so like when those judges mess up, I think it's there's a short fuse or a short rope, and when they mess up, bro, that's it. There's not a lot of room for messing up in this sport because it can cost people damn near their lives. It can also cost people a lot of money. It can cause a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So there's very little room for messing up in this sport. And once those judges, if it's in plain sight and whatever appeal process is overturned, you guys seen that fight months ago where the dude was in an or maybe an arm bar and a triangle or something crazy at once. His arm ended up getting snapped and he was unconscious.
2 weeks ago, Dylan. 2 weeks ago, when that guy ate all them unnecessary elbows, it was like,
yeah,
those I'll get. Okay, so Patrick made a point. There's mistakes in reffing in every sport. In this particular sport, that mistake right there cannot fly, bro. You can't do that.
Exactly. Once that happens, bro,
and a ref should get in trouble for that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of has. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like literally kind of like letting brutality happen. You know what I mean?
The thing is, like I said, there's ref mistakes in every sport, but I think we should be. I think not we, but the athletic commissions and the people that employ the referees need to be more strict with what kind of mistakes they allow. If a ref is, not seeing an eye poke that he was in a wrong direction of,
exactly, that's different.
That's different. That's one thing, sometimes you miss something like that. But in that situation with Dennis Bonder and Carlos Hernandez, I think it was, where he just elbowed him into oblivion for the last 8 seconds of the fight, and the ref kind of just wanted to let him ride it out because it was late, even though he was clearly unconscious. I mean, and then they ruled it a headbutt. It was like a double whammy, the ref, because he then ruled it a headbutt. And it was crazy because apparently the ref's cage side were trying to tell him that it was not a headbutt, and he kept saying it was. And I think, since he had the final rule, I'm pretty sure he ruled it a headbutt. I might have to go back and watch, but I'm pretty sure that it was all that referee. One, not stopping the fight, and then two, rewarding it as a decision, even though it wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We're coming up on like 34 minutes here. I want to get to one last subject, then we'll end off the show. What are 2 fights right now that need to happen in the UFC? Like they need to make it, like whether it's a fighter that's coming off a loss, win.
I'll start.
Where do they go?
I'll start it. Okay, yeah, let's go. How about all of us do one and we'll go in a little circle?
Okay, we'll go in
one at a time. All right. No, Patrick, Pat, yeah, you go first.
You want to start it off, buddy.
All right, I'll start it off. So basically, one fight I want to see right now, which it's not going to happen right now because one of the guys is booked, but it will be able to happen very soon in the future. Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has said multiple times that he will be moving up after this fight. Many times. He's been saying he's going to move up for a while, but he made it clear that after this fight, he will be moving up. Brian Ortega has been injured and out for a bit, and Aljamain wants a top fight. Let's say Aljamain loses to O'Malley, just throwing it out there. He's not going to be able to get a title fight moving up, probably. He'll probably need to fight someone else. Maybe that guy could be Ortega. Or if he does get a title fight, maybe he could defend against Ortega. I've just wanted to see that fight for a really long time because I believe they're two of the best grapplers in different areas. I think Ortega is probably the best submission jiu-jitsu guy left in the UFC, just in terms of being able to submit anyone if they get caught in a bad place. I mean, he almost submitted Volkanovski there. I don't know how Volkanovski didn't tap.
I got to go with Charles, man. Charles jiu-jitsu is nasty.
Okay. That's not bad, but
Brian, I am a big T-City fan, though.
So,
I
but
do
then,
want to see him get
and
back
then
there.
Aljo obviously has great submissions, great wrestling. Like, I think Ortega would be welcome being on his back with Aljo, but I think Aljo would also have less opportunities for submissions on top. Like, I feel like he would be better off his back against someone like Ortega. I feel like it'd be a very interesting grappling match, and I feel like they'd have to have most of the fight on the ground. I feel like it wouldn't be much striking.
Yeah. Dylan, you want to go next, or you want me to go?
I got one.
Okay.
This one, there's not as much on the line, but it's like a fight that I really want to see happen, just because I think you guys might agree it needs to happen, but it's not a huge fight. I want to see Paddy Pimblett fight Jared Gordon again. I want that rematch so bad.
That's an interesting pick.
Yes, I know.
That's
Trust
a
me, I
very
know.
I need
interesting
Patty to
pick.
fight for Vola.
Trust me, I know that is very random. I know, but
Or Dober.
I think deep down in my heart, Jared Gordon beat him, and the winners need to rise.
He did beat him.
Yeah.
I got two for you. My first one, both coming off a loss, but Neil's not getting any younger. He needs to get back to the title picture. I think Beneil Dariush needs to fight Rafael Fiziev.
I knew that was coming. When you started explaining.
I think he needs to fight Rafael Fiziev, and I think it's a good fight. I do, because I
I get
actually
where you're
have
coming
a lot
from.
of high hopes for Rafael Fiziev myself. I think he's a very, very talented young fighter. I don't think he was ready for the big time with Justin yet. But I think that experience would help him in a fight with Dariush, because now he knows what the top 5 is about in that division and why they've been there for so long.
So I have a question real quick. You said you think he kind of got thrown into like the fire with Justin a bit. So do you think at some point he could like eventually like beat someone like Justin, or do you think that like stylistically Justin just gets him?
Well, I don't. So here's my deal. I don't think he got thrown in the fire because realistically he was number 6.
Yeah, no, he like deserved the fight.
But I just don't think he was ready for that big of a step up.
Okay.
I think stylistically it played into, outside of his speed, it played into Justin's favor.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because Trevor Whitman, when it comes to stand-up fights like that, Trevor Whitman has his guys
sharp.
Yeah. The game plan is sharp. They had a game plan against Fiziev for Justin that was to slow him down. It wasn't about Justin winning the first round. It was about, hey, we're going to go in there, let him throw. We'll throw our leg kicks. We'll slow him down, and then we'll drag him into the deep waters later on in the fight, halfway through the fight. And that's how we're going to win this fight. But I think that fight right there did Fiziev more favors than not, because now he knows, he has that experience of fighting a big-time guy like that. So I think him and Dariush both coming off losses. I mean, Dariush is still, I think, number 5 or 4 in the rankings, something like that. And
4, I think.
Fiziev, I think, is still right there at number 6, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that fight makes sense.
It makes sense for both of them because Dariush, like you said, he's not getting any younger. If he wants to get back in the title picture, he needs a win over someone like Fiziev, like a hot prospect, a hot, like, upcoming guy. And Fiziev with a win over Dariush probably gets a title shot next. No. He probably need another. He probably need another. Yeah.
I would say this. I've said this for a while. The loser of Justin and Dustin, like the title shots are done. But if one of those guys, I think Dustin more specifically, if Dustin loses this fight and wants to says, you know what, no, I need to get back to the title picture. Like, I need this before I leave.
Okay.
Like, maybe him and Fiziev makes sense, but like, I think Fiziev and Dariush makes perfect sense. And then after that fight, and you get this Justin Dustin fight, this Charles Islam fight, you can go more ways with some things. But for now, I just think Dariush and Fiziev make sense.
I think it does too.
The next fight that I had for you guys, and then we'll wrap it up, and then I'll let you guys say whatever you have to say, and then we'll get out of here. I think Volk's personally going to dust Yair Rodriguez. I just think he is. I mean, Max gave him a good fight. Volk handled Max this last time around. Volk did very, very well against Islam. I just think Volk is that dude at 145, man. And I think he'll beat Yair Rodriguez, and Max is going to probably handle Zombie. That's going to put them in a weird position, but I think what's going to happen is since Max is later down the road, Topuria just fought, Volk's about to fight. Volk is going to fight Yair. If he wins, then he's going to fight Topuria. That's a fight to me that I want to see. It's something different, something we haven't seen.
Definitely.
Volk and Topuria, I think, would be a pretty solid fight.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that as another one of mine. Volk and Topuria. That'd be a great fight.
And then I think what happens after that is if Volk beats Topuria, he's going to move up completely to 155. He might even drop the belt at 145. There's nothing left for him there. He's not going. I don't think he's going to want to fight Max Holloway again. He's done it 3 times. He's swept.
He's not fighting Max again.
Yeah. So then the UFC leaves the door open for Max to regain his 145-pound run. You know, so
I guess I don't even think the UFC wants that at this point, though.
Yeah, but after Max fought Arnold Allen and looked as good as he did, like, you got to ask yourself like this. If Volk wasn't in the division, is he still the champion? I think so.
Dude.
I think so, man. Because Arnold Allen was a guy that everyone thought was going to be the guy to just put Max Holloway away.
I did. I didn't think he put him away. I think he won a decision.
And
but
he
yeah,
did it,
I
man.
did.
Like, Max came and showed who he is.
Yeah, no, I agree, Jesse. Ilya does have a lot of qualities that give Volk problems, but Volk has a lot of qualities that give Ilya problems too. It's going to be a good fight if it ever does go down. I mean, I wouldn't have been as high on Ilya before the Emmett fight, but that 5-round performance, man, that 5-round performance was nuts, man.
Oh my God.
I can't believe he did what he did.
Well, Pat, we'll let you send it off. Anything you want to tell anyone, let them know where to find you. We'll go to you, Dylan. And then don't click out of here. Hang out backstage when I close off the show. And then we'll chit-chat for a second, and then I'll let you guys go.
All right. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Pat Danna MMA, YouTube. Do interviews with fighters. I write articles for Combat Sports UK. Check out some articles. Check out some interviews. Just try to enjoy the content. I just try to give a nice in-depth look on fighters like everyone else.
Dylan?
All right. So mine, I'm primarily doing a lot of stuff with the Instagram right now. My Instagram is my first and last name, Dylan Napoleon. My YouTube has been buzzing a little bit too. Nothing crazy yet, but just all my fighter interviews are found on YouTube. A lot of fighter interviews also on Instagram with some. I'm always posting new fights that are happening, and then I'm always at events too. So a lot of that's on my Instagram, and yeah, that's it for me. Twitter's Dylan Napoleon _MMA. That's gonna get started soon. I haven't done a lot of work with it yet, but yeah, I appreciate everyone who watches us and supports us.
And thank you, Cade.
Yes, sir. You guys can find me at Cade Morehouse. That's pretty much every single thing. You can find my show page, The Combat Lounge, on Instagram, at The Real Combat Lounge on Twitter. Guys, this is the MMA journalist takeover. All the older journalists, they do a great job, but this is the new young wave. We're going to come at you guys tomorrow. I don't know on whose show, what platform, all the details yet. We'll get them out to you. Patrick Danna, Dylan Napoleon, Jake Noacker, Dylan Rush,
Pat McCory,
Patrick McCory, There's
JD.
so
JD11.
JD,
Hopefully.
Yes, sir.
who else? Any others, man?
I don't know if
All
anyone
these
else
young
will join, but
journalists,
we'll
man,
see.
they're taking over the game. They're doing things differently. They're smarter with the internet. It's
Younger,
here,
baby.
baby, and it's coming.
Younger. New meat, baby.
Thank you for watching the Combat Lounge. We out.
We out.
Now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand.